Ladies and gentlemen, they say through time and space, disagreements are known to disunite man.
But here on the Great Debaters Contest, we bring together over 500 schools
across 12 regions in the country
on one platform to debate. This is the Great Debaters Contest. Welcome to yet another episode. I am your host, Nasimiyu Kapanga.
And I am Chris Boru. The motion of the day is, socialist societies are superior to capitalist states.
Proposing this motion, we have Mudavadi Girls High School.
And opposing this motion, we have Butula Boys High School. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
Debaters and audience, we've all heard about the Karl Marx writing and him himself. He has elaborated more about socialism and society. He has stated that capitalism is man exploiting man. I'm Iveto Yugi from Mudavadi Girls, strongly proposing the motion that states socialist society are superior to capitalist society. According to the Oxford Advanced Dictionary Learners, the 9th edition, socialists are members of political party that believe in socialism. And socialism is simply a political and economic system in which the means of production are collectively and equally owned by the community. Examples of countries practicing practicing socialism are India, Tanzania, Cuba, and Vietnam. Onto the capitalism, capitalists are people. These are wealthy people who have large amount of capital or finance, and they believe in capitalism. And capitalism, it is an economic and political system in which a country, trade and industry controlled by private owners. And examples of countries practicing capitalism, we have United States of America, we have the Great Britain, and we also have France. Let me take you back to 1947, when the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta came from England when he was elected the president of KAU, simply Kenya Africa Union. Later on, in 20th October, that's 1952, the state of emergency was declared by Sir Evelyn Berlin, by the Kapenguria Six and Jomo Kenyatta, that causes of violence is inequality. Why? Why is it inequality? This is because inequality, funds are not given, people are not being distributed enough equally. So that's why the state of emergency was declared. This leads me to my first point, where it says that equal distribution and property for the community. Yes, so socialists, it helps us have unity in the country, and also in our schools, because funds are distributed equally. Funds are being distributed amongst us equally. According to the SDG number 4, it is all about the zero hunger. You see, in equal distribution, funds are being distributed equally. Food is distributed among the people equally. This leads to zero hunger. Opposers, convince me that one individual can help sustain the SDG. Sir, sustain the SDG. Convince me. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
Ex nihil nihil fit. These are the words written on the walls of Harvard University, meaning that capitalism is indeed superior to socialism. Just a point of correction. The Sustainable Development Goal number 4 is quality education, not zero hunger. Baraka Zablon, the first opposer. Socialist society is superior to capitalist states. What is a socialist society? It is an economic system that everyone in the society owns a factor of production. While a capitalist society is an economic system based on the private ownership of the factors of production. This is according to the www.balancedefinitions.com. My dear proposers just talked about inequality at the time that Kenya wanted to adopt socialism. I want to inform you that after that, we continued to be a capitalist country. And has Kenya failed? A question to the audience. Has our country failed because of standing with capitalism? Capitalism is the way to go. Socialist society breeds evils of bureaucracy. In a socialist economy, all economic activities are controlled by the government. Thus, there is space to develop all social evils of bureaucracy like favoritism, delay, and corruption, among other evils. This is against the Sustainable Development Goal number 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. According to a research done by the objectivesminddepth.com, we find that in socialist countries like Russia and North Korea, there is a spectacle of fat cat leaders who will drink champagne in public expense while their comrades or their respondents go hungry. Is that what you want us to involve in? Then you're here saying that socialist societies are superior to capitalist states. We have another effect of socialist societies. It contributes to rigid economy. Socialist economy is a very rigid economy. This is due to the likelihood of people doing a lot of work, yet there are no incentives. In a capitalist economy, there is provision of incentives. That's why we'll find that entrepreneurs will tend to invest in capitalist economy because there's provision of incentives. A research done by the www.probabilityme.com says that in a capitalist economy, 7 out of 10 entrepreneurs will be willing to invest because there is provision of incentives. By adopting the capitalist economy, we will be working to attain the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. In conclusion, socialist society gives power to the government, and if you support the government's weaknesses or mistakes, then you're the biggest mistake for the government. Thank you.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Albert Agape Mudavadi Girls, ready to propose the motion which states socialist society is superior to capitalist societies. Number one, I'd like to correct my fellas when he say that in socialist society, there's no economic growth. However much capitalists claim that there's no economic growth in social society, I want to tell you that there is. A good example is China. China is producing invented machines. And through the invention of machines, we even have utensils that are named, that are labeled made in China. My watch here is made from China. Even your phones, example Huawei, is from China. And in China, we also we find that capitalist societies borrow the socialist society's engineers. Like when I was coming, the Chavakali-Kakamega Highway, I noticed that the engineers there were from China. Why should the country be divided in classes of the rich and the poor? And yet we are all sharing the same nation. There's inequality. The inequality in distribution of resources and wealth. We find that these resources and wealth only benefit the rich people in capitalist society. A very good example is Kenya. Turkana oil was recently discovered, but is it really benefiting the Turkana people? No. It is only the government who are really benefiting from this oil. And this is why J.M. Kariuki quoted that Kenya is a country of 10 millionaires, but 10 million poor people. We also realize in capitalist societies, there is the way they are attaining their wealth or gaining their wealth is illegal. Like some people will go to the extent of exposing other people's life for their own benefits. You find like in Kenya during elections, how many people were killed? Mr. Msando was killed. Why? And he went missing only that 2 days to elections, we noticed that Musando is missing. Also in capitalist societies, we realize that the wealthy people do not really care of others, provided that they have achieved what they want. They don't want to know about others. And this is why the late Mwalimu Julius Nyerere quoted capitalist societies as man-eat-man society, because they don't really care about others. They only care about themselves. My fellow colleagues, do you want to be in a capitalist society where your life is not really valued? Think about it. The sooner, the better. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Nowadays, I'm regarded as blind. But in fact, I'm not physically blind. It's just as I'm making somebody blind because I see too much. That's why I can tell you China is not a socialist. China is a capitalist. It changed from socialism to capitalism in 1949. Check your facts. So if China is developing through socialism, you're terribly wrong. There's nothing that we're debating here. On to my first point. I'm basing my argument on the book written by the father of capitalism, Adam Smith, which was written in 1749. In his book, he said a true market is not a market. A true market is a free market. And a free market is a market that doesn't care who you are, what religion you come from, what color you are, but where you want to buy. That is a true market. And that is capitalism. And if you can tell me that you will be a person who is working hard to inflate your stomach and it is being deflated to inflate another stomach, that is what socialism is talking about. On to my first point. I'll be talking about it is a burden to the government. Many countries have a burden. That is why China has changed to capitalism in 1949. This is as per the document written by Meng Yang, the Business Insider, published in 2014 to justify it. China is changing because it had seen that it's not seeing the future. In 1940s, China was not a developing country, as you take per history. On the second point, capitalism. Capitalism is creating a platform so that countries can develop. Countries can relate to each other. It is creating a platform whereby we are getting that the SDGs number 9, infrastructure, innovation, is taking place in Africa today. We have the SGR working because we have capitalism in Kenya. If you're talking about socialism, I don't know whether we are rolling into the right track, but please, my dear proposers, check your facts again. According to Odin Williams in his research in www.quorum.com, it says that socialism is less democratic because the government is giving a benefit of doubt, whereby it has an indirect dictatorship into the economy. This makes the economy, if we check the economies that we are having today, socialism is being shifted from one end to the other. Take, for example, China. Take, for example, the Soviet Union, which split because of Mohamed Gorbachev bringing about capitalism and socialism conflict. There today we have Russia. If you're talking about socialism, we should be talking about capitalism if you want a true country. I'm a person who is working hard today and not expecting that you people are coming and taking what I've worked hard for. And that's why I'm telling you by the words of Patrice Lumumba in the land of Congo, where before he went to rest, he told his people, I'm not going to die before I see you free at last. But that's why I'm telling my dear socialist, I'm not going to die, but I'm not going to die before I see that you are free, and you are free at last. I rest my case.
The proposers have been asked, how do we convert capitalist societies to socialist societies? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked, with the example of Russia, that was initially a socialist country, and the US, that was a capitalist country, and currently they are both strong economically, what is the role that either socialism or capitalism plays in development if both countries are at par right now? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
I'm your third proposer from Mudavadi Girls. Answer your question. Take a look at our homes. A mother should always share the food amongst us equally. Capitalist societies should start by distributing resources in the country, equality amongst the citizens. My first opposer, stop misleading the House, please, by telling us that China is not a socialist society. China is a pure socialist society. Ask me why. China is a very developed country, yes. We have many engineers and contractors. coming to help us construct our roads in our great nation, Kenya. And why are we not bringing the engineers from big countries and capitalist societies such as USA? Because you find a nation like USA gives us the funds with a lot of instructions, i.e., you find USA telling us that we are giving you this fund, but you as a state, you should help your state promote gayism. How? It is coming upon our traditions, our culture. And to my first point, where is sense of being capitalist where many people suffer? Why? How? You see in socialist society, we have good health and well-being. i.e., in our great nation, Kenya, we have public hospitals and small health centers where all of us can get access to. What if we say that we'll have big hospitals like Aga Khan in Kisumu? Do all of us manage to go there? Kenya was once a socialist society. You will find that His Excellency Daniel Arap Moi introduced free milk in schools to enable students to go to school. Another thing, there was once introduction of free primary education. Agree with me. To help citizens develop and nurture their skills. And my opposer, don't tell me that Kenya is not a socialism, is not practicing socialism. Because even our First Lady, Her Excellency, Margaret Kenyatta, is embracing socialism by enabling free maternity in our hospitals. Thank you.
Padupuza, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
The basic metaphysical fact of man's nature is the connection between his survival and his use of reason, and that capitalism recognizes and protects. Number one, what Margaret Kenyatta is doing is just being philanthropic, not a socialist society. To the question that was posed to me, during the Cold War, USA was a capitalist and Russia was a socialist, and that is why today USA is at the top of the list among the tiger economies in the world, followed by Russia. And that is why Putin is planning to adopt a capitalist society by the time he leaves office. Now, socialist society leads to the loss of consumer sovereignty. This is according to www.willionlinelibrary.com. That in a socialist society, the consumer has no choice of his own acts. He acts as a mere slave under this system. And this will deter us from the SDG number 11, which says sustainable cities and communities. A sustainable city should give the consumer sovereignty of what he wants. To my second point, the socialist society brings on us much expenditure on planning. This is according to www.statisticsolution.com. In fact, planning in a socialist society is a long process. This leads to unnecessary wasteful and a burden to the economy, going against our SDG number 8, decent work and economic growth. Now, to add on that, in a capitalist society, there is possibility of economic growth and expansion, and this increases the gross national product and leads to improved living standards. This is as stated by the www.statistica.com, which is in full support of our SDG number 8, decent work and economic growth. Now, Albert Einstein said, capitalism has brought with it progress, not merely in production, but also in knowledge. Because in a capitalist society, people have diverse ideas and they will struggle to implement them. And by that, we'll be raising our economy, we'll be getting decent works, and that is facilitating and embracing our SDGs. Now, from http panampost.com research team, Venezuela was a socialism, and the president said, that it was a self-depreciating expression of socialist ideas on the Venezuela economy. And that is why they said it had not only turned their country into a poor country, but also into an alleged fast democracy. Now, do you want to turn Kenya into that? No. Tanzania, our neighboring country, is practicing socialist society, but we are doing at a GDP of 47 and they are doing at a GDP of 43. Which one is the best? I rest my case.
Proposers, you have 1 minute for final submission.
How many hands have I used to make a clap? 2 hands. Can one hand make a clap? No. Can one person help make Kenya a society? No. Proper opposers, I know you're trying to convince me, but no. Neither do you have facts, nor do you have realities. Let me take good examples. Lord Delamere, he owns acres of land. But me, my grandfather back there, has no land. Why? Brookside is being owned by who? Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The Voyager Hotel is being owned by who? His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. In my investigations, more than 30 people, they have individual companies and individual factories, but nowhere do we have a group owning something. As Martin Luther, King of Junior A, firm anti-capitalist, said in his final speech to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference back then in 1967, one day we must ask the question, why are there 40 million poor people in America? When you ask that question, you bring the question to the capitalist economy in America. I rest my case. Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute for final submission.
Every morning when I wake up, I struggle to meet my needs. I struggle to meet the needs of my family, and this is what I go through. And yet somebody lying down expects me to feed him or her. Now, in Brookside, Uhuru has employed human beings. He's not working there. And so, let us adapt a capitalist society, and we shall create job opportunities, and we shall increase living standards. I rest my case.
The confusion is coming in when there is a claim that Kenya is a socialist state. Is it really, Whitney? It isn't and has never been. Tanzania, on the other hand, has been a socialist state and still is. We have Kenya as purely capitalist. So there's that confusion that I felt was emerged, that was brought on by the idea that when the First Lady offers to do some work for fellow women, it is considered to be that Kenya is socialist. It is not the case. Like he rebutted, that is philanthropy, pure kindness and a gesture towards fellow ladies. So that was something that I needed to make clear so that we were sure. And it is something that the girls ought to have researched well on so that we were clear from the onset about socialist versus capitalist states. Thank you.
Mudavadi girls, your argument would have been much stronger if you gave us good examples of these socialist societies in terms of achievement as compared to the capitalist societies. However, that was a good debate. To the first speaker, Oyugi, I loved the way you began, the examples you gave about Karl Marx, how capitalism leads to inequality, which ends up in violence, However, you took much time on elaboration and the introductory bit, which really watered down your argument. Agape, you had a good rebuttal. When you talked of economic growth and where we can get good expertise from these socialist countries. And I was a bit disturbed when you came back home and you are talking about Turkana people, and you said that the government is the one benefiting. How I wish you got your facts right, so that if it's the government benefiting, yes, the percentage may be large as opposed to the Turkana people, then give us the statistics, because these things were clearly stated the other day. Speaker number 3, Whitney, you were a good speaker. However, you evaded the question, and you employed quite a number of dramatic pauses, and some of them sounded a bit unnatural. I'm looking at an example you talked of about the Kenyan health system. It begs the question, how good is this health system? Butula, a spirited argument, I must agree. Baraka, you talked very well and supported your points very well, but be keen on your pronunciation of some terms. Did you say champagne or something? It's champagne and not the way you pronounced it, but that was a good submission. Brian, you were keen to make corrections on some facts which were erroneously presented. That was a plus. You were convincing, good content mastery, and I found you to be a good debater. To the third speaker, you gave good examples, you did good research, I found you convincing. Both teams did a good job, but as usual, we must have the winner. Thank you.
And now, down to the numbers. The judges have deliberated and they have decided. Mudavadi Girls High School, you were awarded 67.6%. Let's give them a round of applause. Butula Boys High School, the judges saw it fit to award you 70%, making you the winners of this debate. A round of applause for them, please. Congratulations to both schools for a job well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying tuned to watch the Great Debaters Contest as we continue the search for the next great debater. Remember, you can be part of the Great Debaters Contest also by following the conversation across our social media platforms with the hashtag GDC for SDGs. We'd like to appreciate each and every school that has participated on this show.
That's it at the Great Debaters Contest today. I have been your host, Nasimiyu Kapanga.
And I am Chris Buru. Stay tuned.